But there's more to PGA National than just the bear trap. And help us break it down, my friend, my colleague on PGA Tour Radio, also a veteran member, worked for ESPN, has worked the Masters for CBS, my buddy Doug Bell. Doug, thanks for taking time this morning. How are we doing in Palm Beach? I'm guessing a little better than I'm doing here in the Great White North.
Z-Man, we're doing great. I'm right now standing outside the St. Louis Cardinals locker room at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida, and you're thinking, no, wait a minute, what are you doing? I do this every year on Saturday before I go out for the Honda Classic. I'm a big Cardinals fan, and I come over and rub elbows with the players and the sports writers, and I talk to Mike Schilt, the manager, and it's great, and they want to know about golf. I want to know about baseball, so I do this every year. I look forward to it. This is a great trip for me, Mark.
Okay, well, first of all, there is no surprise there at all, Dougie, because I have been to enough corners of America with you, and you dragging me some AAA ballpark and throwing the hot dog at me and saying, all right, this is what we're doing tonight. So that does not surprise me at all. Doug, okay, I want to jump into this leaderboard. I know you were with Brandon Steele. Before we get to Brandon Steele, though, just generally speaking, we talk about the bear trap. We know it's typically in the top 5, often the top 3 stretch of holes on the PGA Tour in terms of difficulty on an annual basis, and often including majors. It'll find itself in that category on some years. But there's more to PGA National. Tee to green, what makes this golf course so difficult? Why do we see winning scores at PGA National kind of held back? You know, we just had that huge conversation about how distance is destroying the game and scores are getting out of control and yada, yada, yada. Doesn't seem to happen here at PGA National.
Well, it's all about angles, as you know, because you're a heck of a player. And when you go to a golf course like this, number one, it's Florida, and I grew up down here. So, and it's a Nicklaus design. And so you're going to have a degree of difficulty that Jack has in all his layouts. But number one, it's Florida, so you have a ton of wind. We're very close to the ocean here. You have a ton of water. There's 15 out of 18 holes at PGA National where water definitely comes into play. And you have just a boatload of sand out there. So you have wind, you have water, and you have sand. And these angles, if you miss the fairway mark, you're looking at huge numbers, and we saw some of the great players like Brooks Koepka and Ricky Fowler and Justin Rose. Some of these guys really struggled because they're just not hitting it well, especially off the tee. And, for example, Luke Donald yesterday played one of his better rounds in a long time. He lives down here. He had 8 birdies. But as he told me yesterday, his problem over the last 10 years has been finding fairways. He just doesn't hit it straight off the tee, looking for extra length. It's brought in other issues. And yesterday he said, listen, Doug, I found the fairway. I mean, I was hitting fairways, and that set me up for a chance to get up on the green, and of course, putting is his strength. So that's the answer to your question. Why is PGA National so tough? Number one, it's an incredibly difficult layout, but you throw in all these elements of Mother Nature with the wind and water, but the angles that Nicklaus has designed, boy, and Mark, some of these holes, I mean, you can hit a fairway and it caroms off into the rough. Now, the rough isn't crazy, but it's enough to make it very difficult. So, traditionally these guys, California, there are some tough tracks, but Chapultepec compared to PGA National, and we're talking about really a walk in the park at Chapultepec, which is a great golf course in Mexico City, but the degree of difficulty much different than you have here at PGA National.
Yeah, never mind the fact that you go from altitude, turning a 7,000 yard plus golf course into a 6,400 yard golf course with altitude in Mexico City. Then you come here, Dougie, and you play in a swamp and hitting it through mud. The ball goes nowhere in Florida, right? So.
And it's cold.
It is.
Compared to what you guys.
Well, let's not throw words around cold. You're speaking of Canada this morning. We can't throw the word around cold too loosely. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see if Luke Donald can keep the driver in the fairway over the weekend. If he does, it sounds like he might be part of the storyline. No surprise that Lee Westwood is there because Lee's had a great year. He won in Europe on the Desert Swing. He contended in the early rounds last week. I thought Lee's had a good, solid year, but now I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm guessing the story for Brendan Steele, who you were with yesterday, 11 of 14 fairways in terms of driving accuracy. I'm assuming that's the story of how Brandon Steele gets to the top of this leaderboard.
Yeah, there's no question. He's a California guy, and he said, 10 years ago when he first started coming to the Florida swing, especially PGA National, he hated it. He was loved the California, the Po, and all that. But when he comes here to the Bermuda, as we've discussed, it's just a different feel. But now he said after he's played it for about a decade, he kind of likes it. He's comfortable. And Brendan Steele, if you look at the numbers, Mark, for longest hitters on tour, he's right up there in the top 12 to 14 longest hitters on tour. And people don't realize that. He gets it out there. I mean, he's a skinny guy. He's not stout by any stretch of the imagination, but he creates a lot of club head speed, and he puts it out there. He was very accurate yesterday. And we saw the iron play at number 10, and that's a par 5 for the regular players, par 4 for these guys. It's 500-plus yards. And he has 205 yards to a tucked pin over on the right side of the green, and he throws it up there to 10 feet. I mean, it was a heck of a play. Then all of a sudden at 15, 180 yards, the par 3 started the bear trap, and I don't know how that stayed out of the hole. I mean, it went down and then just rimmed out, but almost an ace, but he was 4 inches away, so that was a kick-in birdie. So, yeah, I mean, his iron play was superb. Brendan is not a great putter, and he's putted okay this week, but that's kind of been his bugaboo. We saw, he struggled there, had Sony in his hand there in Hawaii and faltered there late. But we'll see if he can hold it together. I hope so. He sure is a nice guy. He's won 3 times on the PGA Tour, and we'll see if he can do it. Long way to go, though, Mark. I mean, as you know, 2 days at PGA National. Oh, my. A lot of crazy bounces out there.
A lot can happen. I want to throw a few more things at you, Dougie, and switch gears. But before we do, what's the weather looking like today? What kind of scoring? Are we going to have more of the same, that kind of cold wind morning, heat up a little in the afternoon? Or the breeze is still going to be up?
Well, the story today, it is going to be a little warmer, a high of like 67, 68, which is marvelous. I mean, it's just incredible. I like that kind of temperature. But the wind will be the story today, Mark. Yesterday, it got up to about 18 miles an hour. Today, in the afternoon, about the time the leaders hit the bear trap, it's going to be up around 25 miles an hour.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, it's going to be, I think we're going to have some balls in the water and some doubles, and some triples, and crazy stuff like that. So as everybody's watching on television, look out, because once that wind starts cranking off the Atlantic Ocean, and it gets to 25 miles an hour, Mark, oh my gosh, anything can happen.
Yeah, that's going to be a car crash. If you like NASCAR, you're going to be watching the or listening. Hopefully, you're listening and watching. That's what a lot of my friends do to the Honda Classic later this afternoon. We're with Doug Bell, part of the play-by-play team for PGA Tour Radio that has the call today on PGA Tour Radio. At Doug Bell ESPN is the Twitter handle for Doug, at Doug Bell ESPN. Dougie, a couple things before we let you go. I wanted to switch gears with you because we just got the announcement yesterday. Tiger not playing the Arnold Palmer Invitational. When I saw him bail from the Honda Classic, and a lot of the big players bailed. It's a great field still, and it's so funny. Some of the big names, as you mentioned, are going home. Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, Brooks Koepka not playing the weekend. But a lot of them call this part of the world home. This is home for most of them. And when Tiger said not playing the Honda Classic, I think a lot of us assumed that meant I am playing the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That's not the case. Are you surprised? I'm assuming he plays the Players. You can't skip the Players, can you? And is this enough prep to defend a green jacket?
Well, I was on CBS last week, and we were talking about Tiger, and my feeling is I think ultimately by the end of the year, Mark, he's going to play a total of about 12 events. And I think that's all we're going to see him now, the great Tiger Woods. And that's simply from a physical standpoint. He doesn't any longer want to go back-to-back weeks. And I think other than not only physically, but I think he is having a fantastic time with his children down here in South Florida. They're in age now where he's going out and he's heavily involved in Charlie, his young son's golf game. And I think he's just enjoying being a dad. Fatherhood has kind of taken over. So, number one, he's not going to play much anymore, but I think what he hopes to do is play the Players, play match play, and then defend his championship at Augusta. And I think those are the next 3 events we'll see him. And then after that, it is not going to be very often that we see the great Tiger Woods. People have talked about, well, he's not playing well, et cetera, et cetera. Keep in mind now, he won in Japan. He was the best player for Team USA at the President's Cup, and he finished 9th, tied for 9th at Torrey Pines. So, he didn't play great, in Los Angeles. But all in all, he's had a pretty good start to this season on the PGA Tour. But, Mark, we're just not going to see him very much. I mean, at 44 years of age, I just think 12, maximum of 14 tournaments is about all we're ever going to see Tiger anymore. And I think that number will go down.
Dougie,
time goes on.
If we come out of the Masters and he hasn't improved or gotten back to a similar position there that he was a couple of months ago in the Olympic standings for Team USA, do you think we could see an adjustment in the schedule?
No, I don't. I think what he hopes to do is, play well at the Players, match play, Augusta, and then handpick a few tournaments. And I think he really wants to play in the Olympics, and I know the Olympics really wants him to play. Can you imagine Rory with Ireland, Tiger with USA, Hideki with Japan playing in Tokyo, Justin Rose? I mean, that would be an incredible Olympic event. Tiger wants to be a part of that, but I don't think he's going to do anything extra to try to get there. I think he's just going to hopefully, in his mind, play better or play well in the events that he's going to play in. And if he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it. I mean, he's accomplished about everything he can. I do think the chance at being on the Olympic team intrigues him, but we'll see how that shakes out. I don't think he's going to play more, Mark, to try to get there.
All right, Dougie, before we let you go, Tiger announced this week fajitas and sushi as the defending champion dinner at the Masters. So we're having a little fun this morning on Golf Talk Canada, asking our audience what would they serve in the champions dinner. And you and I have done some good eating on the road. We have done some very good eating on our travels over the last 5 years on PGA Tour Radio. So if Doug Bell was defending the green jacket in April, and I've seen you hit a 3-wood, so that's a possibility. You hit a very, very impressive 3-wood, although it was in Mark Carnival's basement, so that's a whole other story. But if you're serving the champions dinner, what's Doug Bell serving?
Well, it's funny, and I've read your stuff on Twitter this morning and what some people have said. I love you and your wife, Heather, to death. And you guys were telling me, last time we were together, I think in New Orleans, you were telling me about your trip to Italy. And I was taking down notes, serious notes. I mean, I'm going to follow what you guys did to a T. And you kept talking about the food. And I kept saying, I love Italian food. My number one food in the world is Italian food. And I'm not sure anybody at the Masters has ever gone full bore 110% Italian. And that's what I would do. I mean, I would start, Mark, you know better than me, the bread, the oils, the cheeses, the meats, just to get it going, right? And then let's get to the main course, and let's have some of those fresh spaghetti and sausage and peppers and fresh tomatoes, and let's go full bore. I mean, let's start to finish, because as you guys said, in Italy, I mean, it's like a 3 or 4 hour deal, right?
It is. You just changed my afternoon plans, Dougie. Now I'm starving, brother.
That's what I want to do. I mean, you guys, you're like my favorite Italian guy, and you're Canadian too. It's unbelievable. I mean, you got it all.
Well, Dougie, we love you too, and thanks so much for joining us this morning. And have a great afternoon. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun, Colin. I'm assuming you're with Brandon Steele and JT Poston again this afternoon.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll see. They're the final group. I hope they're the final group Sunday, but, Mark, it's going to be a very exciting day because of the weather, the wind here in Honda.
Oh, I hope you like car crashes, Dougie. At Doug Bell ESPN, at Doug Bell ESPN. He is with the PGA Tour Radio team, calling the action from PGA National. Dougie, I hope to see you in the next few weeks somewhere on the road.
All right, Mark. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dougie. Doug Bell.